95.3 WDXE.
Hey, that's us. And speaking of legends, it's the Keith and Kevin show.
I like that a lot better. The Keith and Kevin show.
Keith and Kevin show.
Oh my goodness,
that's right. We should rename it, maybe.
You know what the neat thing about that is? I have a brother named Kevin. He has a brother named Keith.
Oh, y'all are confused all day long.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Answer to either one.
Yeah, exactly right.
Growing up, that's just how you was.
Oh man.
My grandmother used to run through all our names before she'd get the right one.
Yeah, my mom did the same thing because we were all K's. Kim is my older sister, and I got an older brother Kevin, and I got a younger brother Kenneth. So it was Kim, Keith, Kevin, Kenneth. But
Just get them all.
yeah, so if you weren't doing anything wrong, you didn't respond. But you know, the one that was doing something wrong knew that
Always
who they
knew.
were talking about. She'll get to me in a minute.
It is the Keith Durham Hour, and we're going to call it Keith and Kevin Show too.
Yeah.
And brought to you by Heritage Automotive.
Heritage Automotive.
And what do you got on the plate today?
Well, you know, we talked about this a little bit earlier. We don't know Kevin too well. Our audience doesn't know Kevin too well.
Well, we need to get to know Kevin.
Kevin has got some, he's a great mechanic. He's the guy.
Well, thank you.
He is the guy you want working on your car.
Yes.
And so he's got a lot of experience at that, and he's good at it. But Kevin does some other things too. Kevin is in a band. Are you in a band still?
Yeah.
Like Loose Gravel? Is that the name of this? No.
No, yeah, something like that. I'm sliding all over the place. I played drums in the Good Springs band, and then of course COVID hit, and we didn't do nothing for a long time. But we've played a couple gigs here and there, but.
Did y'all do any paying gigs?
Oh, it's all we done paying gigs.
Did you ever watch Sling Blade? He said, "What we need is a paying gig."
We need to,
We don't need to practice.
We
Randy.
don't even have a microphone. So I could probably quote that movie. It's one of the greatest movies ever.
That movie made me nervous. The whole movie.
You know what I liked about that movie is if you watch the stuff coming out of Hollywood, they try to portray the Southern lifestyle
Yes.
and all the different demeanors and everything, and they get it wrong except for Sling Blade. They got it right. So where are you going with that wash?
I like the way you talk.
You know, they had a laundromat and and Hoochie's Dollar Store. I mean, they had everything we have here in the South. You know,
Yeah,
so
that's right.
It just it fit in. But Kevin is, he is a. What's your level of mechanicism? Is it master mechanic or what?
At one time, I was a master GM mechanic.
Okay.
So
Would you fall off the ledge?
well, it's like everything. You got to
your-
keep training. So
Your training's up to date.
Yeah,
I see your training schedule. It's up to date.
But I guess I'm still that. I don't know.
Yeah. So once you reach the master level, you're.
We need to give him a badge.
Yeah.
We do. He needs a.
Respect my authority.
He needs a badge.
All right. What was it when we were on a bozo button?
Yeah. What was?
But last week I got so much stuff wrong. I was.
We're used to it. It's fine.
Well, I know that, and I didn't drink any coffee this morning. I thought maybe that'll keep me on my head a little straighter.
Well,
Jeff.
remind me what you got wrong. What'd you get wrong?
Well, when I said it was "Watch the Glory," you said that sounds like something you mash on the gas and go to heaven.
Yes.
So it's called "Watch the Freedom." So in the Hummer.
Yeah.
They have a mode called Watch the Freedom, and that's when you can just stomp on the gas and it goes 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. So anyway, I got that term wrong. I got the size of the motor wrong. The size of the motor is a 2.7 liter. I said, I think we both agreed it was a 2.4 liter. It's not. It's 2.7 liter.
Okay.
And so and then the other thing I couldn't think of was what it was called whenever you're scared that your electric vehicle is going to run out of battery. It's called range anxiety.
Oh.
Range anxiety. So, have you ever had range anxiety?
Something else for us to suffer from.
Now, listen, I suffer from range anxiety, but it's not because my battery's low. It's because there's too much distance between restrooms.
Oh.
So, am I going to make it?
Yes. Range anxiety could mean that too.
Oh, exactly right. There's too much distance between me and the next restroom. So.
Speaking of,
Jeff may have to leave.
may have
We're
to
all
leave.
old folks here, Jeff. We understand that.
oh my gosh.
So,
Well, I've only been here for 3 hours now, so
Well,
oh yeah. So you sell a lot of houses, don't you?
yes, I do.
So I've been looking for a piece of property inside of Lawrenceburg, and there's like 3 pieces of vacant property, and one of them is like 20-some acres. I don't need that.
Uh-huh.
but what do you want to do?
I want to build me a shop. I want to build. I don't know if you saw it back here. If you're walking into the studio, Roger's got a little lab back there. I got a little lab over at Heritage. I got what I guess would be bench envy, because Roger's got this bench back here and it's got all this
Roger, you got a nice
equipment on it and
bench.
stuff like that.
Every guy needs a place where he can go and tinker.
Yeah, that's me. I've reached the age where I want to tinker.
I want to tinker too.
So,
I need some tinker toys.
but there's nowhere to build a tinker building at, and so anyway.
You need your tinker building pretty close to your house.
Well, here's what I agree to that, and I've got plenty of room at my house to build one. The problem is that we're thinking that when Spencer goes to college, we may downsize.
Yeah.
So I don't want to build my tinker building in a place where I'm going to leave in a few years.
Well, okay.
So does that make sense?
Well, I am the perfect expert to help you with that. So
You know a guy.
I happen to know a guy.
What are you talking about? Locating something or tinkering?
No, all of the above.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have people where still every once in a while somebody will bring me their computer and so number one, if you're listening, I don't work on computers anymore. I'm a tinkerer, and people will bring me stuff, and the understanding is that I might not get it to work. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. I may not get it to work, and I might throw it in the trash. And so you have to live with those three
You
things.
have to live with those options.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it might be a while before you mess with it.
Yeah, because computers these days.
Now, is your tinkering limited or just exclusively in electronics?
Yeah, I'm a double E by trade, and so I like
double E?
Yeah, electronics engineer by trade.
Oh, okay.
So
Not a shoe width.
yeah, that's a very narrow.
How wide your head is or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
My shoes are killing me. Oh me. So I like to tinker on stuff. I'm working on, and I have been working on for quite some time. A friend of mine has a 1957 Wurlitzer jukebox, and I'm working on the power amplifier for that.
Yeah.
And anytime you get a piece of old equipment like that, first and foremost, if you're at a yard sale and you get something that's tube driven,
Yeah.
It's a bad idea to just go plug it in. It's a very bad idea to just
Very
go plug
bad
it in.
idea.
Yeah. Unless you've got some type of current limiter or something like that, then you can do that. And so,
Well, I'm
because
sure everybody's got one of them.
and I don't get too technical, but what happens is that most people think the tubes are bad, but very rarely do tubes go bad. Over time, they can get wore out. Tubes have they work by emitting electrons.
Yeah.
And so inside that tube if you look, there's a piece of silver on the top or on the side, and it's called a getter spot. And what happens is that it gets once the electrons go somewhere and they get burnt out, they got to go. So your getter spot gets full, and
Get her done.
So I mean, there's a huge technology, but very rarely are the tubes bad, but the capacitors go bad. And I'm not going. We don't have to get in depth. I can talk about years about this because that's my field.
That's your thing.
That's my thing. But the caps go bad, and what happens is that capacitors back in the old days were made of paper and foil. Mm-hmm. And so it's just like opening up an old book, and you see the old book has the pages have yellowed in
Kind
it.
of dry rotted.
Yeah, and gotten yellow. Mm-hmm. Well, the same thing happens inside that capacitor. The paper becomes acidic, and which means it becomes conductive also. And so, and once it becomes conductive, it passes DC. So a capacitor's job is to pass AC and block DC.
Are you taking notes?
Yeah, if you're taking notes,
Somebody,
we're gonna
listen,
mess on this.
somebody's passing something.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll get off that subject, but I'm just saying I like to tinker on stuff like that. I'm doing some tube radios and stuff like that, and Goodwill is a great place to find those things.
Yeah.
And so I've fixed a couple of them. In my living room, I have a nice Zenith tube radio that I've restored, and man, I just love the tone of it.
Yeah.
It's got a really great tone. Anyway, don't if you find one, don't turn it on. Don't do you any favors by
I
turning it on.
like to find old tube amps.
Oh yeah,
guitar amps.
and they are expensive.
Yeah, if you find those, I mean, and by the way, if you find one you don't want it, holler at me.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's worth a lot less if it's not working.
Yeah, it's got to be. I mean,
exactly.
they got to be fixed, I guess.
So anyway, we're talking about computers a little bit today. Let's talk. Let's talk about how computers affect your life today. Can you live your day-to-day life or do your job without your computer today?
No, but there's too many tentacles to that.
I agree.
There's too many tentacles in communication that takes place from all over different directions, and that's the way they're going to do it.
So do you guys still watch? Do you have cable TV at your house, or do you watch TV over the internet?
Mine right now is satellite.
Yeah,
Satellite.
That's what
Okay.
I got, satellite.
All right. So does that mean you're in a place where you don't have high
Actually, I
speed
have
internet?
both.
Do you have high speed internet where you live?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
I have internet TV, and we have way too much TV. But go ahead.
Well, I mean, I'm the same way. So, I'm just all. My mother really started this avalanche, and so she lives by herself, and
Yeah.
so she has a TV in the living room and a TV in her bedroom, and
Yeah.
her cable bill's $300 and something bucks
Oh,
a
my
month.
goodness.
And because there's internet on there, and then there's TV, and then she's got a telephone, and
Yep.
so it's three. So you can get rid of all that just by going online. Even if you have Spectrum, you can get rid of those cable boxes and just go online and watch your Spectrum over the app. And that's what we do at work now. At work, we were paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars for our Spectrum, and now we just watch it over the app. And then we have YouTube TV at work, and instead of paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars,
So that's all we do. We sit around and watch
The,
TV all day.
the only reason I think I've kept my satellite is for some of the channels that I want to have, such as the Fox News and some of these news channels.
yeah,
Are they available the other way too?
absolutely.
Yes.
Well, then here we go.
Yeah, absolutely. And live sports and everything. So, and you can get
The
get
local
away.
channels. You can get it all on.
So what are you paying for internet? About $50-$60 a month. That's about
Oh, at
typical.
least, yeah.
All right. So if you're paying $50-$60 for internet, then you can probably pay $20 a month for a subscription. So you can have your whole TV bill way below $100. And
Okay.
just watch it on the app. You got smart TVs? You got
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're already set.
We're set. We're just not using it right.
Yeah. But
Hey, you just a little search into it, but you can find, of course, there's a blue jillion of things you can watch. So
and a lot of it's free.
Yeah.
Like if you've got internet now and you've got a smart TV, I would suggest downloading Pluto TV. Pluto is probably 150 channels of TV,
Yeah.
and they've got a 24-hour Andy Griffith channel on there.
Well, there you go.
And, I mean, what else do you need?
is it black and white and color or all? of them?
No, it just does it. Like last night, I watched the Andy Griffith where Barney lived up in the city, and he was living with these crooks. Do you remember that? And
The episode I watched last night was the cow thief.
oh yeah,
With the shoes.
With the
Put the
shoes
boots
on.
on the
Yeah.
Put the boots on the cow.
yeah. So what they do is they started the first episode, and it just runs to the last episode, and it just starts over again.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
tonight when I go to bed, it'll be some of the first episodes because it was.
Well,
getting-
this is good advice. We've learned something here. I
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you've got internet service or, like at my house, I pay for Spectrum internet because that's the only internet that I can get in my house that's high speed. So I pay $59 a month for Spectrum internet, and then we have a subscription to YouTube TV.
Yeah. Well, out where I live, we don't have cable.
Yeah.
But we do have the Cloud9,
Yeah, Cloud9 is wonderful. I
which
got it
is
at work.
really good.
Yeah,
it's really
yeah.
good.
We have that at work, and it's unbelievable.
But it's the wireless. I mean, it's the
Yeah.
what do we call that? Have to have the little
Yeah,
antenna for
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But it's still very good.
Yep. And so all you need to do is just download some apps on your TV. And if you didn't want to pay for it, all you'd have to do is pay for internet, and the TV comes loaded with apps that you
Yeah.
can watch that stuff. But if you want to watch current events and stuff, you're going to have to pay just a little bit. Not a lot.
Well, see, there you go. I've learned.
Or bootleg.
I actually had
Keys?
I actually knew a little bit of this, but I've been afraid to actually just cut myself off.
And that's what it
What?
takes.
You got to cut yourself
So
off.
let me ask you: have you given up your home phone yet? Your landline?
Oh yeah, a long time ago.
So that was the hardest thing for us to do.
Yeah.
Giving up our landline.
I still remember my number, the number that we had.
Yeah, me too.
6, 7,
And I
5, 309.
Hadn't had it. Yeah, haven't had it for years and years. But I still remember the number.
And I think that was the thing. Is like, man, we've had this number forever, but nobody ever called us. Anybody ever called us on our cell phones.
Yeah.
And if our phone ever rang, it was a
Telemarketer.
telemarketer, political event,
Yeah.
or something like that.
It's just almost obsolete to have a landline anymore.
Yeah, and so stop paying for that stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
Stop paying for stuff you don't use.
So there you go.
So, can you? We can all agree that the internet has pretty much dictates the way we live today. And I want to say this before we go on. We talked about electric vehicles last week,
Right.
And it's going to be the wave of the future. So, if I were going to build a house right now, it would be foolish for me not to put the stuff in the house that would accommodate an electric vehicle. Somewhere you need to put a 230 230 or 240 volt circuit in your garage, and be prepared for that. Whether it's you just put in a junction box on the wall or put an outlet on the wall, be prepared for the electric future. And so it's now Jeff, he's in the real estate business. He's like, I don't know about that. So let me ask you though. I mean,
I'm too much of an old fogey to. It's coming. I know it's coming. The government's put too much money in it, and companies are putting too much money in it. But it's like, I just don't get it.
well, I mean, if you you can put the plug out there, and if you don't use it for electric vehicle, you can plug your dryer in or something like that.
Yeah, there you go.
Put your,
Have two dryers.
put your
Speaking of
freezer-
this, plugging stuff in. When Daniel was little, he was just. We hadn't had him very long. He was just a little toddler, and I had one of those old, black, heavy, big telephones.
Yeah.
With the metal dial. You know what I'm talking about?
know
Sitting
exactly
on the desk phone. Big old desk phone. I think I still got the thing somewhere. And it was the wires still on it and this and the other. It wasn't hooked to anything. But but he was with me in my office and it was in the floor and he's playing with it. And I'm about my business. And all of a sudden I hear a dial tone, big and loud.
So he's plugged it in.
He had plugged it into the outlet. He had taken the naked wires and stuck it in the outlet in the wall.
Oh wow!
And it went just the tone,
Well, all right.
just like that. So they worked on just straight electricity,
Yeah.
and you probably knew that.
No, I'm going to guess something different. I'm going to guess that you were hearing a 60 hertz tone coming through that phone.
Well, I don't know
if you'd
what-
have touched the wrong part of it, you probably would have got shocked.
I know it scared me to death. I thought, what is he doing?
Oh me! But those are not. I can picture in my mind the phone that you had. So
You know what I'm talking
I
about.
know exactly what you're talking about. You ever had the old crank phone, and it would shock you now.
If you if somebody hits you with one of the headset of that phone,
Yeah,
it'd knock you out.
you're hurting. Yeah.
It's like a dumbbell.
It didn't even have the curly cord on it, did it? It just had the straight.
I
thick
don't remember,
leather,
but yeah, just straight
thick woven cord or whatever it is. So, can you remember the first time you ever got on the internet? Kevin, can you remember the first time you got on the internet?
Oh yeah.
Well, okay. Can you talk about it?
Yeah. I mean, it was at work. We didn't know we had it.
Oh, you didn't know yet?
No, that's how. I mean, we'd never seen nothing like it. And there's another guy over there. He clicked on it. He said, "Hey, we got internet. We got a new diagnostic machine, and they plugged it up, and that's what That's how you got your downloads and everything. Yeah. Of course, we had no training on it yet, and we was like, "Oh man, look here! You can go to Yahoo. That's how I got my first email account. I got on there and got my email account and stuff." And
So Yahoo was like one of your first places to
Yeah,
go and stuff like that.
that's what the homepage was. It showed up. That's
Oh,
all.
okay. Yeah.
Ours was dial up.
Yeah.
The dial up internet. And you would hear the dial tone and,
Yep.
and the squealing and the squawking, and you finally would be connected.
Yep.
Click on something, go get something to eat while it's downloading and stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
that goes back to the conversation we had earlier. Is that the technology has made people lazy, and I'll just if you're a programmer out there, listen, I'm not picking on you or anything, but programmers these days are more lazy than they were back in the old days because the resources are so abundant. Used to when I first started working on computers, we would put like 64K of RAM in them. If you had a megabyte of RAM, we'd like, who in the world would ever use a megabyte of RAM?
Yeah.
Nobody. And now you've got gigabytes of RAM, and you got terabytes of disk space. So it's just you got unlimited RAM, unlimited disk space, and they fit in the palm
And
of
that's
your.
just on your phone.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They fit in the palm of your hand. So you can be sloppy as you want to be, and you can just put as much content as you want to be, because now with the speeds of the internet and there are no limits anymore, I guess would be a good way to put that. So, but what about you, Jeff? You remember the first time you were on the internet?
I don't remember the first time. I remember when it was new. I don't remember the first time, but I remember accessing the internet when it was very, very new to us. We lived in a duplex over on Herb Drive when I first
okay.
to have the internet.
So did you have an AOL account or anything like that?
I had an AOL account.
I think
Did you,
everybody
for
did
real?
it one time.
had an AOL or
You can get it for free.
what was it? What was the first? There was another. Gosh, I can't remember the name of it.
Online America was one of them. Well, and then it became AOL, I guess. America Online.
Yeah,
That
AOL.
was
But
probably
there
my
was
first at the house. Was that because you got the disc and you could?
Yeah, you could get it free.
You've got mail.
Netscape had one.
Netscape.
Yeah,
That's what I was
Netscape
trying.
a little
That's
bit-
what I was trying.
It was a
to
little bit later.
I think Netscape was probably something I used, best I remember.
Yeah. And that was a neat product. So, yeah, you used to have to dial up to get the internet and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was, it came a little while before people had stuff at their house. I was like you, Kevin. I think the first time I got on the internet, it was at work. And this was back in the days before they had web browsers.
Yeah.
And so you would dial into bulletin boards, and they were just called bulletin boards. And you could chat on the bulletin board, or you could post files on the bulletin board. There was nothing graphical. I mean, you couldn't see it. So, like, if somebody wanted to send you something, it had to be in file format, and you had to download it. And it had to be.
Well, that was before my time of it.
Yeah. So it was that was in those days, and so I at home I had a laptop that I got to carry home from work, and I had an AOL account on it. And I lived in a little town called Pass Christian, Mississippi.
Okay.
And it's down on the Gulf. That's where I was telling you get your underwear brown if you get in the water. The Mississippi Gulf Coast is a little bit brown.
A little muddy water.
A little muddy water in the ocean there. So anyway, I lived in a
I
little.
thought maybe something scared you. I didn't know.
No. So I worked for John C. Stennis Space Center down there, and I had a laptop that I carried home, but I had an AOL account. Now, my account name on there was my name, but I had it spelled backwards. So if you spell William Durham backwards and also put the name backwards, it's Mahrud Mawila, and that was my AOL online account.
You are kidding me.
No, I'm being serious.
It
Say
sounds
that.
kind of.
Say that for
Mahrud Mawila.
Okey-dokey.
That's William Durham backwards, and it's also the name flipped around.
That sounds kind of like Saudi Arabia or something.
It does. So it's sort of try to fly under the radar. So I'm in my apartment down there, and I'm in a chat room. This is it had evolved to the point where you could get into chat rooms,
Oh, okay.
and I was in a chat room, and somebody says, "Hey Bones, how's your mom?" And I thought, who in the world?
You knew it had to be somebody from Lawrenceburg.
I did. I said, well, that's somebody that knows me. So I thought, what in the world? And it was Rob Alford. I don't know if you know Rob Alford or not, but Rob was in the same chat room that I was in, and I was down in southern Mississippi, and he was in Lawrenceburg, and it took me a minute to figure out. I had to ask him straight up. I said, "Who is this?" Because he had a pseudonym also. So.
So how did he figure out it was you?
That's what I
Because
was
he
asking.
spelled I guess he figured out that I had spelled my name backwards, and so he just
So he decoded you.
Yeah, he decoded me. He's a pretty smart guy. So Robin and I go way back. We went to church together. Do you know Rob Alford by chance?
Yes.
Rob is a great guy, and we go way back. We went to church together for years and years growing up. But I can remember Mr. McElwain at school. He was a teacher at school, and
Yep.
so I was in the fair one time at the math contest, and Rob Alford was in the math contest, and Rob beat me in the math contest. He was first, I was second.
So
So,
that's
about
why he
that?
figured your name out. He's
so
smarter
yeah,
than
he
you.
is way smarter than me. I can guarantee you that. So anyway, Rob and I are good friends even to the day, and but it was just a neat experience, and. But
Well, you can thank Al Gore for all that. 'Cause
Hey,
he's the one
listen.
that invented the internet.
he claims that, but Al Gore did not invent. A guy named Tim Berners-Lee is given the credit for inventing the internet.
Well, that was Al Gore's online name, like your Mahat.
Okay, very well could have
See?
been.
I mean,
It very well could have
he
been.
was undercover too.
Yeah, you might be right about that.
So Mahatma Gandhi over there.
I knew you knew how to spell.
It's Marud. It's Marud. Marud Marhuela. Get it right.
Well, it had developed a little further along, I guess, when I began to look at the internet, because I remember one of the early days of having the internet. I played chess in a chess room.
Yeah.
Where you could play chess with people, and
Okay.
you couldn't talk. You could text each other or type a
Right.
message or whatever, and I remember playing with somebody. Who knows who it was or where they might have been? I have no idea, but I was playing with them, and whoever it was liked to taunt with their language.
Yeah.
He was, and I didn't really care for that, but I wanted to play. So I said, "What are you, 12?" And gosh, it made him so mad.
Oh my goodness. So, you bring up a good point there. Do you ever go to foxnews.com and see the articles there? Fox News is one of the few places on the internet that allows you to comment. And I go there for the comments.
Yes.
And so I like to see, sometimes it's so comical.
Oh, yeah, it is.
But what I wish Fox News would do is I wish Fox News would give you the origin of the comment. A lot of those things, a lot of those comments that stir up controversy are put on there by people from other countries, and that is their intent. Their intent is to cause conflict. So even though they may have an American-looking name or America 101 or something like that, it could be somebody over in Kazakhstan who's sitting there saying, all you folks from the South are stupid and racist and all that kind of stuff, just trying to stir up stuff. I think they need to put an origin
that would be a good
of
idea.
that. Yeah,
That'd be a good idea.
Or I've even thought about it. I'd love to go on there and just make a name like content administrator or something like that, and then I would say the previous message was originated in Russia. Yeah, even if it was or wasn't.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Because
That would be fun to do.
I'm telling you,
That would be fun to do.
oh me. But there's so many things. There's so many things that you can be in a different location and be in. I sit at my house and surf the internet from Brazil.
The believability of things on the internet has become a big concern of mine.
Yeah, that's
Because how do you there's so much being thrown at us because we depend on the internet for our information now, regardless of just about who you are. You're either that or you're getting it from one of the news channels.
That's right.
One or the other. And they're getting their information a lot from internet feeds of one kind or another, such as Twitter or X or all these things. Their whole mode is driven by social media stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then it's so diluted, you don't know what to believe about anything.
Go ahead.
That's how you get the rumors that like a celebrity's dead or something because somebody put it on there, and then it gets popular and shared, and then next thing you know they're dead, but they're not dead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated.
Yeah. Sam Elliott, they killed him off last week again. And he's like, "Hey, I'm not dead. Quit killing me."
Somebody told me Sunday before last at church that Sylvester Stallone died. I thought, wow, I hadn't heard that.
You think you would hear it,
And then he didn't. He's alive and well.
Killed him off.
But
well, the fact is, we're all going to die at some point.
Yeah.
But
Quit rushing it.
yeah.
But for me, news has changed so much. Back when I worked at the Pentagon, it was during the days of Desert Storm and Desert Shield, even before Desert Storm, and I can remember the night that the U.S. attacked them, and CNN carried that live. I don't know if
I remember.
I was glued to the TV, and it was a different CNN back in those days.
It was,
if I could say it that way. Quite frankly, I don't trust anything CNN says now. And basically, you have to pick and choose what you trust on all other news stations because they're trying to push a political agenda now rather than just stating the news.
I agree 100%.
And I don't think I'm alone in that boat either. I think a lot of folks feel that same way.
Oh, yeah.
But, back when, I depended on CNN for, hey, this is the way it is, but now it's just unbelievable that it's transformed into what it is today. And to where
I remember when it was talked about. I worked for the cable television system at that point.
Yeah.
When CNN began to become popular, ESPN, all those, I was working for the cable system locally.
Yeah.
And so I was pretty much in tune to all that as well. But I remember people talking about that'll never fly. Who wants to watch news 24/7?
Yeah.
Well, now look at us. That's all we watch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. My grandfather was that. They got him cable for Christmas. Worst thing they could have done because he could sit there for 24 hours and watch everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the news?
Yeah, it's all
everything.
news.
Everything is happening.
Well, I'm almost that bad. I pretty much watch news all the time, unless there's just something I specifically want to go to and watch. the TV's on the news all the time.
You know,
news all the time.
I'm a little bit different. I watch stuff. My wife likes stuff like this, CSI and all that kind of stuff. But when I come home, I don't want to figure nothing out. I want to just watch something. You know.
Yeah.
So I want easy TV.
Well, we generally watch. I don't know. Me TV. You ever watch it? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
got all old TV shows. I mean, Andy Griffith, MASH, all them old shows. That's what we watch.
Yeah.
I mean,
Me TV.
Other than Judge Harvey.
Good channel.
It is a good channel. Mm-hmm. I like it. And then Pluto's got classic TV section. They probably
Do they?
got they probably got
Okay.
10 classic TV channels on there, and they got like 24-hour Love Boat. I like that too.
So there's Pluto, and then there's what's the other one?
There, Tubi is the other one.
Tubi, Freevee.
And Hulu,
Hulu you have to
Yeah.
pay for.
Hulu.
Well, no, you get
Net-
free Hulu.
Netflix
It
you
just
have to
don't have
pay
a lot of
for.
Netflix,
And YouTube TV.
YouTube TV.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a lot more, but you know, for the free ones, it probably already come preloaded on a TV that you would go up to Walmart and get.
Yeah.
Tubi and
That's interesting.
yeah. I mean, it's as long as you got hook the thing to the internet, you can watch
Right.
TV for free.
Well, speaking of news and recent news, I'll ask you because you're talking about technology, this, that, and the other, and this has come up in other conversations. The fire or the fires
Yeah.
in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Have you been keeping up with any of that and some of the conspiracy theories that are rolling about that?
No, I haven't. I don't know any of the conspiracy theories, but you know, it was a shock to me. I thought, wow, I didn't know they even had wildfires in Hawaii. That was number one, was a shocker for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's a conspiracy theory? How it started, maybe?
Yeah,
Or-
I have to admit too, just looking at the pictures, you wonder how in the world did that happen?
You don't think lightning caused it or anything?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Oh, I don't know either.
I mean, I know what they're speculating: lightning, and then power lines, and whatever.
See, I heard power lines, and of course the hurricane wind.
Yeah.
Together, the spark and fire and the hurricane winds.
Yeah, it was a
Many
bad
kids.
scenario no matter what.
Oh,
Oh, I saw some of those
horrible.
videos that people were evacuating the town and filming it as they were leaving. I mean, it's almost like driving into
I guess-
hell, as far as I could see. It looked.
I guess what I'm
inferno.
puzzled about is things that burned that burned. And look, I'm ignorant when it comes to this, but it looks like things that burned that wouldn't possibly just burn that way. It's like
Oh yeah, just completely gutted the buildings
just
and everything.
the buildings are gone, the automobiles are gone, and they're nowhere near any what we consider wildfires in the woods.
yeah.
But it would be like a whole town just burnt, just completely burnt up. And I guess the winds were
Right,
that
yeah.
high. The winds
It's
were
kind of
that
like
high.
a blowtorch, because you're amping it up with the winds.
Yeah.
And it just anything.
That's
I mean,
unreal.
people. It caught them off. They was having to jump in the ocean,
Yeah.
to try to just get away from it
It's
because it's coming
terrible.
so fast.
It's terrible. I mean, it's awful. But there are theories out there that it was purposely done.
Well, I would
I ain't
hold, I
heard
would hold my tongue on that until.
Yeah, I don't mean who knows.
yeah, that
Yeah,
you're exactly right.
But there are conspiracy theorists out there that are promoting. That's on the internet. That's what I
Yeah,
was telling you.
exactly.
How do you believe anything?
Well, and that I don't know. It strikes me wrong when people start doing that because people's lives have been lost and stuff like that.
I agree.
and it warrants the truth more than somebody's opinion at this point. And so, if it were me, I would just hold my tongue on that.
I'm
But,
like a little bit like Pilate though. What is truth?
Yeah.
yeah. Well, there you go.
5 years ago, you conspiracy. You looked at them and like, well, there's some stuff people were saying, government and stuff. So well, that's crazy. I mean, there's no way. But now some of it's proven to be true. So
Yeah.
you don't know. It's kind of hard to. It's kind of hard to balance that.
Yeah.
What's true and what's just crazy talk.
Yeah, you're right. And the internet is a big
Bunch of crazy talk.
is a big tool for
A big tool for crazy talk.
exactly. Because birds of a feather flock together, and it gives you a lot
Yeah.
bigger flock when you're on the internet. It's unbelievable. Oh me! But we were talking about using pseudo names and stuff like that. I got to tell you a time when that happened to me, and it was almost comical. So when I worked for the Department of Defense in Washington D.C., I had an office at the Pentagon, and there was a place where everything that we did came together. We did some wide area networking with the Department of the Army. We were on the third floor, and there was a place called the SST, and the SST was, I guess it was short for the Staff Support Terminal. Well, it was a computer room. All right. And so, anyway, during those days, we didn't have routable protocols. Or we weren't using routable protocols, and I won't get into the depths of that, but we were using open protocols, and they had to be named. So devices on your network had to be named. And so my device on my desk, and it had to be a hexadecimal name. All right, so if you know what hexadecimal is, we're used to counting. We're decimal, and we count from 0 to 9 before we start all over. So you go to 0 to 9, the next digit is 10. But in hex, you count from 1 to 16, and you count from 0 to F is what you count from 0 to F, and so the next thing after F is 10. So 10 is 17 in hex, and so actually, so when you get
They do that to make it simple for you.
yeah, I mean
They
They
do
had
that
to-
to
It wasn't
make
for me.
They do it to make it real simple for you to understand.
yeah, and then so when you're counting, you count 0 through 9, and then the next number is A, B, C, D, E, F. And so you could name your devices, and it had to be hexadecimal names. And so mine was dead face. And so dead face is a hexadecimal number. And so, and I used that for several years. And so, just like any other good Department of Defense thing, you have an outside auditors come in and they figure out, make sure there's nobody doing wrong stuff.
Right.
And they're like,
Naming her stuff dead face.
who is dead face? And so I'm like, that's me.
Can't you tell?
Can't you tell? So I mean, there's like wheels spinning at the FBI right now. It's like, we're looking for dead face. No, so that was a long time ago, and that was back in the days of non-routable protocols, and everything had to have a name. And so,
Well, did they make you change it, or did
No.
they just okay? Well,
They just want to know who did
They
it.
said we need to know who this is. Okay, that's you.
yeah, I took them to my see with the routable protocol, you could bring it. I mean, you could pinpoint here it is, but with the non-routable protocol, it's just on your network somewhere. You got to find it. So anyway, that was one of those instances. But early days of internet has changed a lot. I can remember the very first browser that I ever used was a browser called Mosaic. It was way before Internet Explorer, and it was way before Netscape and things like that. But it was one called Mosaic, and it was, I mean, it sort of looked the same, and but
I've heard of it.
That was back in the days where you had to type everything out. So I don't know if you know on the internet. I'll give you a little internet lesson here. So the internet, this was before the days that they had DNSs. So a DNS is a domain name server. And what happens is, so right now, have you got a website at your place?
Sure.
And
Yeah.
it's hoodandhester.com or something?
Well, actually, it's hoodcompanyhome.com.
Hoodcompanyhome.com. All right. So did you know that hoodcompanyhome.com is actually a number, and and it is being translated into hoodcompanyhome.com, such as heritagegm.com is just a number to the internet, but yet for me and you to use that, we need it as something we can remember. And so that's what domain name services do. So it assigns a name to a number. And so,
Sure.
So when I first started using the internet, there were no DNSs, so you had to know the number of where you was going. You had to know the IP address of exactly IP address where you were going. And now, and then the evolution of it is that the browsers have gotten smarter, so that when I type in what is it?
Hood Company Home.
Hoodcompanyhome.com.
Yeah.
I don't have to put www anymore because
Right.
it assumes that now.
Right.
So, but you don't always have to have www either. You can name it anything. You can name it kevin.heritage.com or jeff.hoodcompanyhome.com.
I've bought several domain names that I haven't used yet.
That's foolish. I'll just tell you. Is it like your version .net
Don't be
and
blunt or
.org
anything.
and stuff?
No, I mean I have plans for them.
Okay, well if you have plans, well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that was a
I have
foolish.
plans for them.
I take that back.
So I've got, but you have to buy those domain names.
That's exactly right. Okay, I take that back. If you're using them, it's not a foolish thing.
Yeah, they will be in use.
They will be in use. So did you buy your domain with a different extension on like .store dot?
No, I didn't do that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
No,
stuff.
I haven't
That's
done
what
any
I
of that.
meant is that if you're
No,
buying
no, no,
those
no.
things,
I changed my
if you're buying that stuff to protect your domain name for subdomains, don't do that. That's crazy.
No, I've never done that. I'm talking about totally different businesses.
Yeah, that's cool. Are you doing it to hold for ransom or what?
I have been offered some. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
I own a web domain name called Tennessee Land and Farm.
That's not too bad.
Not a bad
Yeah.
name.
A little
But
bit long.
I haven't used it yet.
It's a little bit long, but it's good.
But
Did you spell Tennessee all the way out?
I did.
Yeah, that's a little long.
A little long,
Yeah.
but people are kind of used to it now. I think at first people wanted short ones, but it's hard to get short ones anymore.
So let me tell you what you do with that. Have you already got Tennessee Land? What was it, man?
Tennessee Land and Farm.
TennesseeLandandFarm.com. Are you using it right now? Or
I'm
is
not
just-
using it yet.
Okay, so just make it active and make it point to your domain.
Yeah,
All right. And so if you make it point to your domain and people start
Right.
looking at that, then that becomes more sellable.
right.
You can say, look, 10,000 people came to this site last month.
Yeah,
Otherwise, if you don't have it out there and on use, then
Right.
especially if you're holding it to sell, you need to pseudo it to something else.
yeah. That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Hey,
See, I need a technical dude to help me here. It's like I have half good ideas.
that's a lot better than that's stupid to do that.
So
It was like, well, that was foolish. And then he found out I wasn't that foolish.
no, it wasn't that foolish. But I say that because I've done the same thing. So when the .store, when the .store extension came out, I bought up a bunch of stuff. Like I was in the convenience store. I worked at Quick Mart.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of huge competitors out there like Wawa and Wiggles and Quick Trip and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I went and bought those domains .store.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, they'll call me and ask me for them.
Yeah.
They never did. And I paid for those things like 4 or 5 years. I ain't paying for it. And hey, listen, I released them, and you go back and they're gone. They bought them.
How about
They
that?
just waited you out.
They were
didn't
waiting me out.
Waited you out.
So anyway, there
You
may
knew it too. You knew
I
it.
knew that was going to happen, but that's okay. But yeah, if you will, if you go into tell me your domain again.
Hood Company Home.
Hoodcompanyhome.com. If you go into your administrative things there, you'll see an alias there, and you can alias that other web address to yours, and so that whenever you do either one of them, it'll go to your homepage.
Yeah. Do you have to do that through the service you're buying it from, though? They
Yeah.
can direct it?
Yes,
Because I've done that.
that is correct.
I have more. I have KW Hood Companies directed
Yep.
to Hood Company Home. There's a lot of these
Yep.
that are direct. So I know what you're talking about.
Yep.
But I haven't activated Tennessee Land and Home yet.
But if you
probably
if,
should.
yeah, but if you own it, that's all you need to do.
Do you own some domain names that you have plans for?
I do not anymore. I got rid of those.
Did you?
Yep. So
You want to buy some?
back in
deal on
there's a now there's what they call intellectual property laws and stuff like that.
Yes.
That protects the stuff on the internet, and so I can't just go out and buy Microsoft whatever because Microsoft will say, well, that's us, and
Yeah.
we own first rights to that.
Right.
So we can't hold them ransom for those things or anything
Right.
like that. So, but you probably could charge a nominal fee to release it. I don't own anything like that, but there are folks that do that. So if you've ever been, and listen, if you accidentally miss a letter, like Yahoo had to go, they got stuff like Bahoo.com, and I mean when you're typing a Y, T is easy to hit.
Yeah.
And so they've got the misspellings that automatically direct you to Yahoo.com.
Really?
Yeah.
How about
So but there's also some that will direct you to another page and say this domain is for sale. And what they'll
Yes.
do is they'll say, okay, Yahoo, 10,000 people typed this month looking for you, so you want to buy this from us.
It's amazing how many ways there are to,
Oh, yeah.
to try to make a buck.
No, I'm telling you,
man.
it's unreal. It's unreal. And I can just tell you from experience, it doesn't work. It's nothing like earning a dollar.
One of the domain landing spots or purchasing places they have they assign a value to your name and say this is worth this much. This is worth that much.
And I don't agree with that.
I don't know if it works or not. I never have tried it.
So the shorter it is, the more expensive it is too.
Right.
So the 3-letter domain names are super expensive.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's the longer it is, the more chance that nobody has it.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to type it.
Yeah.
And so maybe they can get it in a search engine or something. Like
Yeah.
Interesting.
So when you start typing and it gives you a suggestion. Here you go.
But nowadays, I don't know how. This is a great conversation to be on, but nowadays you can pay for your domain to be on top. So like if you say somebody says Realty Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, you can pay Google to have your name on top.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was content related. Search engines like Google would search based on content, and what would happen is that if you look at HTML in the background, so if you're looking at a web page, you're looking at some type of CSS, JavaScript, or HTML or something like that that's being displayed on the screen. In the background of it, you can hit F12 at any time on your browser, and you can see the script behind it. I don't know if you do that. So
it wouldn't do me any good to do that.
Well, what I'm saying that is that this is where the translators, the web translators, which Internet Explorer and Google Chrome and those kind of things they just translate that language into a visual picture on the web. And so you used to have to go out there and, let's say you wanted to be top in real estate in Lawrenceburg. Then
I am, but go ahead.
Yeah, listen, I agree with that.
And he's humble.
But if you wanted to be first, on the search engines, you would go out there and inside your script 1,000,000 times you would put Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, and real estate. Just type it out there 1,000,000 times in a comment.
Yeah.
And then when those search engines hit that, they go, "Oh, here's a huge site that's got all kind of Lawrenceburg," and then yours would pop up first. But now it's a paid.
It's a paid deal. I get hit up, and you probably do too.
Oh yeah.
With these services that want to tell you how they can make sure you're at the top of the list if you pay them to do it.
Yeah, well, I always tell them, look, I'm under General Motors guidelines, and they control all that.
But if you had, if you weren't, I'm telling you, like an independent business person or something like that, it's constant.
Yeah,
it's constant.
So, anyways, ways to save money on the internet. I mean, maybe that's what we'll do next show is tell our customers how they can save money on their cable bill. I mean, if you're out there and you're listening, you're paying $300 for your cable bill. Egads. And we say cable generically because typically cable these days is internet, cable, and phone.
Right.
So it's all,
the bundle package.
It's the bundle. You got to have the bundle. So.
It's bundled, all right.
But if you got a landline, you can always get that moved over to your cable too, or your service provider, and most of the time keep the same number. That's what I was afraid of, is lose my phone number. But you know what? I guess that anxiety's gone.
You have phone number anxiety.
That's not. I remember just about every phone number I've ever been assigned. So that's about it.
I have been very good at remembering phone numbers.
Yeah.
I remember.
I can't remember nothing.
You can't.
Everything's a name in my phone now. I can't remember nothing.
Oh no, you're right about that.
Yeah.
Like somebody asked my wife's phone number, I have to look it up.
Yeah. Of course, I remember our home phone number growing up.
I can tell you my wife's social security number.
Oh really? Do you know your driver's license number?
No, I never have dedicated that to memory.
So I had to.
I never have needed to.
Every time I went to a government building, you had to put your driver's license number down. So I've memorized that. So when I moved to Mississippi, this is a weird story. So I moved to Mississippi. My residence was my mom and dad's house in Lawrenceburg, but I lived in a little bitty in Pass Christian. I lived in a garage apartment, sort of like Fonzie did,
Okay, hey.
And it was painted pink. We called it the Pink Flamingo, and it was pretty cool. It was a one-room deal. The bedroom and the living room and the kitchen were all one room, and the bathroom had a second
Studio
door.
apartment.
Yeah, is that what it's called? A studio, a flat, or whatever.
That's a realty guy.
That would be a very good way to put it. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm a single guy.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Fonzie, yeah.
what were we talking about?
The Pink Flamingo.
The Pink Flamingo. So
there's ways that we do it in the real estate business to enhance your thoughts concerning real estate. You could say it's a shack, or you could say it's rustic living.
Oh yeah, well I like that.
See,
Rustic living.
yeah.
So the first week I moved down there, and I went to work, I come back, and everything that I had sitting around was in the floor. And I thought, what in the world? Somebody's already ransacked my apartment. So, and I rented an apartment from a nice older gentleman and his wife, and they were a retired furniture store owner. And so I knew they didn't do it because, they just, I didn't know it. I thought, well, they have to walk up the stairs to do it,
Yeah.
But anyway, it wasn't long that I put everything back up, and I'm sitting on the couch watching TV. The train come by. And everything vibrated to the floor. I said, oh, I know exactly what.
There you go.
So the house was right on the train tracks. I was just right south of the train tracks. If you're in southern Mississippi, you'll know that everything south of the.
Did it scare the bejeebers out of you?
For a little while, but after a little while, I couldn't go to sleep at night until the train come through. I mean, it was almost comforting to hear the train come through.
Yeah.
So I don't know where we were going with this story a minute ago. I'm going to have to look at it at home.
I have no idea, man.
Oh, my goodness.
Kind of like a Blues Brothers movie.
Yeah.
Train going by, you're just sleeping right through it.
Well,
No,
Kevin, we started out, we was going to learn all about Kevin.
Have we hit the limit
About what?
about you?
Oh, what else you want to know? So I've raced lawnmowers. I've had a pool truck. I worked here at the radio station for a while.
He's a man of many hats.
Yeah.
He is a man of many hats. Maybe
I've
somebody's
had
going to
derby
call and remind
cars.
us where we left off.
Raced four-wheelers. Well, I mean,
Race four-wheelers.
yeah.
Everything that moves, you've been on it.
I've tried it.
Yeah.
And had dirt track car with Steve Yoakum. We shared. We both worked at.
Did y'all do go-karts too?
I helped a guy with a go-kart. At the time, I was in my early 20s. I didn't have money to afford a go-kart, but I helped a guy.
Well,
Learned out. He raced at the Nashville racetrack up there at the fairgrounds on Sundays.
okay. Well, you know how that's how my brain is. I just forget about
That's all right.
stuff, and we just move on.
Move on.
When you have a show about anything, everything, and nothing at all, I mean, it's basically flying by the seat of your britches. But hey, I've seen so many people throughout the week and that say, "Hey, we listened to your show," and I attribute that to Jeff because
Oh yes.
Well, why?
because we're riding your coattail here.
Oh, no.
And because people listen to your show already, and so we're riding the coattail. We're glad to be a part
Well,
of it.
we're glad you're here. We're glad you're here. It's been fun. It's always fun when you come in.
It is always
Check
fun.
this out.
That's what I'm talking about right there.
Can you hit that lid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good stuff right there. I probably can't play a lot of it, but
Well, you know a little.
I know a little. I know a
I
little.
know a little about love.
You know a little about cars. You know a little about cars. You know a little about electronics and the internet. But you should know more, and we all should know more about Heritage Automotive.
That's exactly right. Heritage.
As a matter of fact,
In fact, if you haven't been to Heritage Automotive in a long time, we've got some cars in the showroom. It's been since COVID since we've had enough inventory to put a car in the showroom, and it is in there now. We have a lot of half-ton pickup trucks. If you're in the truck market, now is the time to buy a truck because not only do we have Heritage discounts on the truck themselves, which bring them way below MSRP. On some of the models, there's a $2,500 trade allowance from General Motors.
really?
If you're going
Awesome.
to trade your car,
That's been a while since that's happened.
exactly right. So if you want a 2009 or newer vehicle and you want to trade that thing in on a truck,
what kind of vehicle though?
any vehicle, just
Any
2009 or newer, and you're trading
all
it
right.
in, General Motors is going to give you $2,500 more for your trade than what you would got for it normally.
Pretty doggone awesome.
That is awesome.
Great bunch of folks up there too, including Kevin.
That's right.
Talking about technology, guess what I did day before yesterday, Jeff?
What did you do?
We have a truck up there that has Super Cruise on it. And Dan, Carol, and I took that truck north of town and never touched the steering wheel. That thing will drive itself. You can eat a bologna sandwich, pick guitar, put on makeup, whatever you need to do, and that truck will drive itself.
Dan Carroll too.
Yeah, and it's not, And you can do that today at Heritage Automotive. Say, hey, I want to drive the truck that drives itself. And matter of fact, I
Well,
wish you
maybe
would
I
say,
just want to ride in it.
I just want somebody to
I'm
say, I
going
want
to come
to
up there.
buy
You're
the
going to
truck.
take me a ride in?
Absolutely.
If I come up
If you come up there, I'll take you in a
there?
ride.
All right, I'd like to do that. I will. And can we go by and get a sandwich?
We can get a sandwich.
We
and
can actually eat in the
as
new
long
car.
as you've got your eyes open and looking forward, you can do whatever you want to do.
That's all right.
So,
Keith
otherwise,
Durham, everybody, and Kevin Smith, awesome.
Heritage Automotive, 2122 North Locust Avenue. Come and see us today, Lawrenceburg, Tennessee.
Good folks to deal with right there.
Just north of Sonic.
We'll see you next Thursday, won't we?
Next Thursday we'll be
We got to get out of here.
across the street from Zaxby's.
We all love Leonard Skinner, though.
I do.
Yes.
Anyway,
This is
See you
WDXE,
guys.
W287AA, and W237FD Lawrenceburg. Broadcast services of Prospect Communications.
Election interference. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Former President Trump posted that twice more this morning. But in a new Fox News poll after his 4 indictments, Fox's Gernal Scott reports.